it's ProdigyRex here back in our video, and today we will be reading Lunch Money, Chapter 14, 75% of Nothing. So, let's begin. Chapter 14, 75% of Nothing. No lunch recess. It was the only thing Greg really hated about 6th grade. After the kids finished eating, they had to dump their trays, sit back down, and wait for the bell. No walking around, no loud talking, and Mr. Percy, the custodian, was always there, leaning on his mop handle, watching. It reminded Greg of mealtime and an old prison movie. Mr. Percy was like the guard, always edgy until the prisoners were locked up again in their cells. Except the convicts got to go into the exercise yards every afternoon, and the 6th graders didn't. Greg had done some thinking since their period. He decided he ought to say something to Mara about her drawings. He hadn't actually lied to her in the hallway after social studies, but he'd come close, and he remembered that hurt look she gave him as he shoved his pictures back in his face. Yes, Mara was annoying, and she was a copycat, and he was glad that Miss Davenport fixed her so she could see even less of her every day. Still, she had gone out of her way to ask her about her opinion about her drawings. And her excitement about comic books seemed real, so why not tell her about the truth about her artwork? It was the least he could do. Besides, he wouldn't be able to sell anything now. Now he couldn't sell his comics at school. Greg knew that if he went over and tried to talk to Mara, heard him, he'd be surrounded by girls, and no way he could say what he wanted to do with an audience like that. Plus, Miss Davenport's orders to keep away from Mara, nor he didn't dare to just walk up to her. So he ate fast and watched carefully, and Mara got up her tray to the drop-off window of Greg May's room. His timing had to be perfect. It was when Mara saw him coming. Greg slipped into the short line behind her. She saw her shoulders stiffen and take up fast, his voice low. Then nothing in the office went okay, don't you think? I mean, it stinks not being able to sell comics anymore, but at least we didn't get in trouble, not in detention. Pretty good, huh? Mara didn't turn, didn't nod, didn't react, nothing. So Greg took a deep breath and said, "Listen, I didn't mean what I said after social studies when Eileen and Brittany came up to you, but you heard what they said and just what?" Mara hissed, just keeping his back to her. "Did the big mean girl scare you? Like something like, we're just talking, you know, because you only made everything look worse and that's what they wanted. Besides, who's stupid enough to even care what those two think? Oh, I forgot, you are." If Mara wanted to trade insults, she was messing with the wrong guy. "Oh, yeah," said Greg. "Well, what?" Mara whipped around so fast that her empty word can and fell off her tray. Greg had the words. She could have hit her hard, but that wasn't what he wanted. He took a deep breath and said, "Again," Mara demanded, "I'm what?" You're right," said Greg. "What I did was stupid, and what I said was stupid, so I'm sorry," and bent down and picked up her milk carton and tossed it into the recycling barrel along with his own. "Oh," said Mara. She was surprised he'd apologized, and also that he picked up her trash. She said, Thanks," and slid a tray on the conveyor belt. Greg said, "You're welcome," and then dumped his tray too. With his hands empty, Greg felt suddenly awkward. He missed having his red pencil case to hang on to. So he stuffed his hands into his pockets. He said, "So don't you want to know what I was thinking this morning about your drawings? Before all that?" Mara said, "Yeah, but only if you have something good to say," and turned to walk to the crowd table kids at the dessert table. Greg followed her, glad that the noise and the talking in the cafeteria seemed to be getting a little louder. The sound was the camouflage. He edged up close to Mara and said, "If you only want to know what your drawings were good about, you'll never get them better." She turned her head and saw, so some of it was good? Really? Greg lowered his face to see if she was just kidding. Her eyes didn't lie. Mara actually had no idea how brilliant her pictures were. It struck him that it might be the first time she ever looked into Mara's face when they hadn't been yelling at each other, and turned his face forward and took a step closer to the dessert table. Choosing his words carefully, he said, I don't want to get you all convicted or anything, but I think your pictures, well, they're good. Maybe it's just beginner's luck or something, but I don't think so because you got it. The whole idea of how pictures work in the comics, the timing of the crayons in the scene, you just nailed it. Greg sneaked a sideways look at Mara. Her cheeks, usually pale next to her blonde hair, was flush with color. She was smiling slightly. Trying not to, but smiling, he said. There's more. Ready? Mara angled her face her way, but wouldn't look him in the face. She nodded, he said. Okay, some problems. You know what a scale is in the drawing? Mara nodded and said, so tell me, she said. It's make sure you compare to the right things to other things. Like if a unicorn looks like it's actually bigger than this tree, the scale's messed up. Greg said, right. So in a couple of your panels, the scale was wrong, but only in a few. The truth is, they're amazing. Just incredible. Something in a voice that sounded like fear. Mara said, you're not just saying this, right? Greg shook his head and said, no. Then he said, I'm not some big expert or anything, but I've seen a lot of comics, and I think the pictures are really good, really. Without looking Mara in the face, he could tell how much those few words meant to her. It seemed like she actually cared about his opinion. It felt scary to feel how much power that gave him, and suddenly Greg felt kind of responsible, like he wanted to help her. An entirely new feeling, but Greg didn't let himself carry away. And his business mind clicked in a flash he saw ways to kind of helpful, and also a possible way to make a little money. He said, how would you like to make your whole unicorn store into a comic book, and then print some copies and try to sell them, not at school, but to other places? If you want, I could help, and your comics could be one of the chunky comics. And if any of them sell, then you can make some money and share profits, and if you come up with more story ideas, you can make more and try to sell them. What do you think? It seemed like a decent idea to Greg and a very generous offer. Without missing a beat, Mara said, how much money will I get? 40% of all the comics on per copy. Just your comics, not mine. Again, feeling generous. Mara shook her head. 75% for my own comics, and you don't get to tell me what my story should be about or anything. They both took a step closer to the dessert table. 50%, said Greg, and he thought, she's the meanest, bossiest, most 75%, said Mara, or I'll go ahead and figure out how to do it myself. Everything he did not like about Mara came crashing back to his mind, and Greg was tempted to shout, fine, go ahead and do it all, you stupid, stubborn lump. But he wasn't going to let her satisfaction of seeing him get angry. Besides, they weren't going to sell many comics now, maybe not at all. And 75% of nothing is nothing. So Greg said, deal, 75% of nothing, but you have to go buy me an ice cream sandwich right now. Mara stepped up, laid 4 quarters on the dessert table, and reached into the freezer, grabbed 2 ice cream sandwiches, and slapped one into Greg's hand. She looked him in the eye and cracked half a smile and said, deal. 3 minutes later, Greg was sat on his regular lunch enjoying the last good bites of his free ice cream sandwich, and the speakers crackled and the PA chimed. Silence settled over the cafeteria as Mrs. Davenport began to speak. Again, as Greg thought of a prison movie, it was time for a few words from the warden. Good afternoon, boys and girls. And also to all the teachers and staff. I'm sorry to interrupt classes this way, but I have an important all-school announcement. Some of our students have been making small comic books and bringing them to school. I've looked at some of these, and they are not the thing we want here at Ashford Intermediate School. Also, I've been learning some of these students have been selling these little comic books to their friends right here at school. Even if these comics were appropriate, and they're not, even then no one would ever get permission to sell them at school. Our town school committee has a strict policy about this, so listen carefully. Starting right now, I want all students and all teachers to understand that these little comic books may not be brought to school, they may not be created at school, and they certainly may not be sold at school. Thanks to all your cooperation, and have a productive afternoon. The chocolate wafers, Greg's favorite part of an ice cream sandwich, had chewed the last sticky bits from his left thumb. So he thought, that's it. The warden has spoke. Chunky Comics is now officially dead. And what surprised Greg startled, almost shocked, that not that Chunky Comics was dead. He already knew that was going to happen. What amazed him that he wasn't more upset about it. He because yesterday he'd only been shouting Mar's face, all set to go Cro-Magnon on her, and she was going to cut into profit. And today the whole comic book empire was crushed, and all the money was flowing down the drain. And what was he doing about it? Eating ice cream. Greg felt, what's wrong with me? I should be furious. I should be pounding on the table, shouting, unfair, unfair, unfair. But Greg didn't have a chance to think more deeply about this, because then the moment the bell rang, everyone stood out, and Mr. Parson began barking orders, and the inmates at the Ashwood Area Security Facility began trudging back to their cells. After math class on Friday afternoon, Greg rushed out and went straight to artwork. He needed every possible second to work on his water sculpture. Mara got to her time, left room 27, and got to the door. Mr. Z called Mara. Just a quick word, please. She just turned around, made her way through the other kids, and walked to the stand in front of his desk. Mrs. E said slowly, I want to say I felt sorry about what happened with you and Greg, and it was partly my fault. When Greg started yelling, I should have pushed him right into the hall, and then all that mess wouldn't have happened, and you wouldn't have been called into the principal's office today, or switched out my class. And by the way, that wasn't my idea, so I'm sorry. And I felt like I turned you into worse enemies than before. Mara shook her head and said, it's okay, I mean, really, things are better now. I mean, it's not like Greg and I were friends or anything, but we're in some sort of business. We got a deal and everything, and we're drawing the comic books for Greg's company. Mr. Z's dark eyebrows went up. Greg's company? Well, that's good news. Great. He smiled and didn't seem what to say next. So, Mara said, can I go now? I can't be late for my regards again. Of course, Mr. Z nodded. Go right ahead and have a good weekend. You too, Mr. Z. After Miss Mom was already out the door, Mr. Z called, if you two want any advice, I know some economics and accounting business stuff. And Mara said, thanks. Earlier during lunchtime, Mara had also listened to an announcement from the principal, and she heard the same words Greg had heard. But for her, Chunky Combs wasn't dead. It was coming to life, and she intended to keep Greg's word. He was going to help him turn the Lost Musical into a real comic book, even if he wanted or not. And Mara couldn't wait to get started. And that's the end of chapter 14. Hope you enjoy and smash the subscribe button and ring the notification bell. And make sure to smash that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. Sorry for 2 times, but bye!